Hello everyone, myself Ruchi Patel, working as assistant professor at LJ College of Physiotherapy. Today I am going to take second year topic that is hip complex. And in the hip complex, we are going to discuss about the kinetics part. So let's start with the presentation. As we all know, hip joint or we can say coxofemoral type of joint, and it's a ball and socket type of joint. Here the articulating surfaces are acetabulum of the pelvis and the head of the femur. So we can say it's a diarthrodial type of joint. Here the 3 degree of freedom, flexion extension, abduction adduction, and medial and lateral rotation as well as circumductory motions are present. Okay, so in today's lecture we are going to discuss about the kinetics part. As we all know, whenever we stand, our head, arm and trunk weight, which is taken equally by both the lower extremity. If our both the lower extremity are taking equal weight, then both the hip joint will get the same compression. Our both the lower extremities have a weight of one third of the total body weight. So the particular individual lower extremities are taking one sixth of the body weight. Okay, and our head, arm, and trunk weight is two-third of the body weight. So our half of the two-third of the weight, which is taken by the right lower extremity, and another half of the two-third of the body weight, which is taken by the left lower extremity. So in the erect bilateral stance, both the hips are in the neutral or slight hyperextended position, and weight is evenly distributed between the both the legs. So LOG falls just posterior to the axis of the flexion and extension of the hip joint. So posterior location of the LOG creates an extension moment force around the hip that tends to posteriorly tilt the pelvis on the femoral heads. So gravitational extension moment is largely checked by the passive tension in the hip joint capsuloligament structures, although slight or intermittent activities of the iliopsoas muscles are required just to maintain the erect position of the lower extremity. In the frontal plane, in the bilateral stance, the body weight which is transmitted through the sacroiliac joint and the pelvis to the right and left lower femoral head. Hypothetically, as I said, the weight of the head, arm, and trunk, that is the two-third of the body weight, should be distributed so that each femoral head receives approximately half of the two-third of the body weight. So joint axis of the each hip lies at the equal distance from the LOG of the head, arm, and trunk. That is, the gravitational momentum for the right hip joint and the left hip joints are equal. So here in this figure, you all can see that the LOG is passing through our body, and the distance from the LOG to the midpoint of the joint axis, or we can say the center part of the joint axis, the distance, it is called as the momentum. So the right side of the momentum, which is equal to the left side of the left side momentum, if the equal weight is distributed on both the sides. So, because the body weight on the each femoral head is the same, so WR is equal to WL, and the magnitude of the gravitational torque around the each hip joint, that is tau, is equal to work into distance. So WR into DR is equal to WL into DR. Okay, so if we are assuming that muscular force are not required to maintain either the sagittal or the frontal plane stability at the hip joint. In the bilateral stance, the compression across the hip joint in the bilateral stance should be half of the two-thirds of the body weight. So here I have taken the example, and with this example we'll understand in the bilateral stance how the weight will get distributed. So in our hypothetical case, someone weight is 825 Newton, or we can say 185 pound. So the head, arm and trunk, that is two-thirds of the body weight, will be 550 Newton. Okay, so the 550 Newton, uh, the total head, arm and trunk weight is there, and half will be half of the weight which is transmitted through the right, and remaining half which get transmitted through the left lower extremity. So, because we are assuming no additional compressive force produced by the hip muscle activities, the total hip joint compression at each hip joint in the bilateral stance is estimated 225 Newton. So, 550 is the total two-thirds of the body weight, and half of this, that is the 225 Newton. So that is total hip joint compression through each hip in the bilateral stance is one-third of the body weight. So as we all know, lower extremity total weight is one-third, and half of the one-third which get transmitted through the left, and half of the one-third which is getting transmitted through the right. So, when the bilateral stance is not symmetrical, the frontal plane muscle activity will be necessary to control the side to side motion or return the hip to the symmetrical stance. So, here we are assuming that the patient is giving weight on the one side. So the pelvis is shifted to the right, resulting in a relatively adduction torque, or the adduction of the right hip and abduction of the left hip. So here we can see that during the lateral shift, we are getting shifted towards the right side. So the adduction of the right extremity and abduction of the left extremity is seen. So, under the condition that both the extremities bear at least some of the superimposed body weight, the adductor may assist the abductors in control of the pelvis in the force of gravity or the ground reaction force. So, in the unilateral stance, the activity of the adductors, either in the weight bearing or non weight bearing hip, cannot contribute to the stability of the stance limb. So, hip joint stability in the unilateral stance is the sole domain of the hip joint abductors. So, in the absence of adequate hip abductor function, the adductor can contribute to stability, but only in the bilateral. So, whenever we stand on the one extremity, or whenever the weight is coming only on the one extremity, the abductor work which is required to counteract the adductor work. So, in the next lecture, we'll study about the unilateral stance and the weight distribution related to the unilateral stance. For the this kinematics and the kinetic part, you all can refer from the joint structure and function by Cynthia Norkin. Thank you.